Well, fireworks in Fulton County as DA Fani Willis took the stand. I don't know if you saw. Willis was grilled about a relationship with Special Prosecutor Nathan Wade. He drank 40,000 gallons of water. The man she appointed, by the way, to prosecute Trump for election fraud, who had no experience. The state called an old friend of Fani's whose testimony blew up the lover's alleged timeline. Watch.
And when I say personal, romantic.
Yes.
Okay. And do you understand it that their relationship began in 2019 and continued until the last time you spoke with her?
Yes.
Well, it's highly offensive when someone lies on you, and it's highly offensive when they try to implicate that you slept with somebody the first day you met with them, and I take exception to it. You think I'm on trial? These people are on trial for trying to steal an election in 2020. I'm not on trial, no matter how hard you try to put me on trial.
All right, now, if this whole case goes belly up for the Georgia DA, which it might, which, by the way, it could happen, what happens to the Georgia's case against Trump? Does it drop, or do they just get new people in there? This week's hearing being just the latest in a slew of legal battles engulfing the former president. Case in point, from the immunity case the Supreme Court will rule on next week to the New York hush money case that has a trial date for the 25th of next month, the first ever criminal case tried against a former president. It's time to bring in a real expert and a great talk show host. Sunday Night in America host Trey Gowdy is here with some legal advice. And man, Trey, I don't think I could afford your retainer, but it probably would have made financial sense with the amount of court cases that are coming our direction. First off, in the Georgia case, when I put the salacious stuff aside, what happens?
Well, there are a couple of things, Brian. As a general rule, it's never a good idea to lie in court filings. So Fani Willis and Nathan Wade do have the issue with respect to how they answered those interrogatories. I mean, I've been out of law school for 30 years, but I'm still pretty sure you can't lie to the court. Your law license may be at risk. Put that aside. Let's assume that Fani Willis and Nathan Wade are gone. That does not mean the case is gone. You just go find two prosecutors in Georgia who aren't currently dating one another. And that shouldn't be that much of a challenge. The other issue, Brian, which I don't hear a ton of people talking about, is some people have already pled guilty. Imagine those who have already pled guilty and you're about to have, I think, the prosecutors kicked off the case. They certainly should be kicked off the case.
So you believe, will there be a ramp-up time that might knock this past the election, even though the president could not pardon himself should he win the election? Would someone have to start from square one?
Yeah, no doubt, which is, sometimes you win the battle and you lose the war. I'm not sure if I'm Donald Trump, if I would not prefer to have Fani Willis and Nathan Wade prosecute me. I'd much rather have someone who doesn't have experience prosecuting me than them to go find someone who actually knows what he or she is doing.
So in New York, in the third week in March, I think the 25th, we're going to see the Alvin Bragg case against the president, the so-called hush money case that they say is affected the election of 2016. They said they have a surprise for us. I'm not sure how surprises work outside TV shows, but what do you expect? Trump feels pretty good about his case, but when you think about the makeup of the jury, he can't be overall optimistic.
No, I would not think New York would be a great place for a Republican presidential candidate to go on trial. But I tell you what would be good, to have a star witness named Michael Cohen. I mean, can you imagine? I mean, Brian, you're a lot younger than I am. You may not live long enough to see the end of the cross-examination of Michael Cohen. I mean, where do you start when it gets to the credibility of that witness? Here's the other thing about this particular case. I think Trump could be convicted on every single one of the counts, and not a single vote in America would move. Most people, including Democrats, see this as politically motivated. Keep in mind, Brian, Alvin Bragg listed all the cases that he did not think were worthy of prosecution. Remember that memo he came out with? I'm going to tell you all the laws that ought to be ignored, but when you pay hush money to keep an affair quiet, that's where I draw the line. You can carjack, you can rob, you can murder, but dadgummit, you cannot pay hush money to keep an affair secret. I think people have already made up their minds this is a political prosecution, and it ain't going to hurt Trump one bit if he is convicted.
Right. They say he could get 4 years in prison, but that's highly unlikely. Michael Cohen, what you're talking about, is somebody on the inside, and then he gave up everything he knew, took a deal, And then after he served his time, said, "Yeah, I didn't really do anything bad. I don't really agree with what I pled." So he's got problems with his credibility. But you have no problems with your show Sunday Night in America, Trey. I look forward to seeing you, and I can't wait to see if you choose to wear a tie.
Thank you, Brian. I had one on, but then when I saw you, I took it off.
Right.
I got to fit in.
You saw how sexy I looked, and you said, "I want to look like that." Good job, Trey. Thanks so much.
Sexiest man in America.
That's
You're
what
right.